But I was like, oh my God, clowns. I got to get this for
It's fabric.
Kayla. I know.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't remember who. Maybe it was Kim. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Kayla's probably gonna cover a couch in it." It's like that's so cute. Yeah. Yay! All right. So, yeah. Okay. Welcome to In the Act, a radio program on process and the creative life. Creativity does not just start and stop with artists. We all make aesthetic or guiding decisions. Our aim is to talk through the process and investigate how we choose to express ourselves and to live creatively. We're connecting with people about their lives. That's the subject of our show. Broadcasting from Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin on Mead Community Radio. I am Erica Hunsinger, and this is In the Act. And today's guest on In the Act is Kayla Kiefer.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yay.
It's very exciting. Yeah.
So I got really excited to think about like what to talk about with you.
Yeah.
And usually I don't really come from that spot. I'm not like, and here's this person and this is what they do. And because I think it's sort of like pushes confine the conversation sometimes.
Yeah. Totally.
But I was like, the last thing I thought, I was like, well, she draws really well. She's a great tattoo artist, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, oh my gosh, the chickpeas that she made that one time for tacos were just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, food is art too. Yeah.
It totally is. And I knew that you'd understand that.
Yeah. I'm happy to talk about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do want to introduce you or get into you own and you started, it's your creation, Chicory Root Tattoo.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if we could, wherever we want to start, but also talk about the progression to that. Mm-hmm. Like what were your interests and stuff? So,
yeah.
But like, we can start anywhere. We can talk about whatever.
Yeah. So are you asking what led me to open Chicory Root?
I mean, I guess I want to know, can we start with the clowns?
Yeah. Yeah, we can start with the clowns. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I think I had too much coffee too. Yeah. I'm just going to say that.
That's great.
But what were your interests with clowns?
Yeah. So just as a side note, the clowns have it's becoming a bit of an overwhelming presence in the shop. It wasn't my intention initially.
Fascinating.
It's kind of grown over time. I've always liked clowns, since I was a kid.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a really dear uncle that I have who also loves clowns and had gifted me clowns as a kid. Yeah. So I've kind of started a collection of them, through thrifting and vintage shops, small collection.
Yeah.
And then I had this small collection and I didn't really want them in my house so much.
Yeah.
Because it's a very intense aesthetic, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I just designated some space for them in our large, beautiful shop.
Yeah.
So I was like, why not? And I kind of tried to tuck them away in a place where people wouldn't notice them right away because I'm aware that some people are really averted to them. They're kind of scary.
Yeah.
But as people kind of caught on to them, they started to gift them to me.
Oh my gosh.
As you could see, it's a common thought, so it's growing and yeah, I don't know.
That's so weird. It took on a life of its own.
It has, yeah. But I love it. I mean, clowns feel happy to me and they feel eccentric and they can look like anything and still, be considered a clown. The shapes on the faces, the hair, the outfits, as long as it's bright and intense or just bizarre. Yeah.
And I have a certain, I think clowns also have a certain magic to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or can. I think maybe Stephen King's gave clowns a bad name. I'm sure that's probably more, maybe John Wayne Gacy, I guess that was a problem.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry. But I grew up with Bozo too, and like there was a presence about clowns too that is just I don't know. I love that it has this personal connection to familial love and connection. That's so sweet, and that's a way for other people to connect to you.
Yeah. Yep.
In those gifts, I like it.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, that was our cute little side note about clowns. I love it. Yeah. So I was curious about your, you're an incredible artist, like drawing capabilities, and they're just beautiful. But I was wondering how your creative sort of started, like as a child. Like, what were you interested in material-wise when you were little?
Yeah, I think it was mostly like any sort of writing material on paper. That was like what got me into art. Drawing just since I was very young. I guess most kids do it, but I guess I kept with it. I didn't, it's really funny because I don't like indulge in this genre much at all anymore. But like the thing that got me really serious about art leading up to pursuing tattooing was actually like drawing like anime and manga styles.
Oh, yeah.
Like I got really into that as like a preteen and a teenager.
Yeah.
And like got obsessed with like, copying and redrawing and creating my own characters.
Cool.
So that was like my main focus as like a young teen, like adult sort of, for a long time.
I feel like that's really popular though too. Like for some reason that genre is like easily adapted to like, I don't know if it brings joy or like, I'm not sure, but it's, I see it a lot when I worked with teens.
Yeah.
I saw it all the time. It was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, a lot of the stories are like, catered to young adults that are, growing up and.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And,
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. But like, and the art is just, it's really incredible. It has like that like Japanese influence. It's got like those sort of gestured lines that are really like fun and full of movement.
Yeah. Did you have like artists that you followed or that you liked, or like movies that you liked around that?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much like anything that was on like Toonami.
Yeah.
Like Shonen Jump manga, like magazines I was really into. Like Naruto, Inuyasha, classics.
Cool.
At this point,
Yeah, right.
Gundam. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so I was really into that, and I was into that for a long time. And I started tattooing so young that there wasn't really like a large gap of time in between like the anime stage and the tattooing stage to like explore other sorts of art. Yeah. In there.
How old were you when you started tattooing then?
When I got an apprenticeship when I was 18, I was still in my senior year of high school. So it was like an immediate transition out of high school.
Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. So you knew that that's what you wanted to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I had tattooed myself with other methods, like as a teenager. I dabbled, very unsafe conditions, but
I feel like that's not an uncommon thing.
It's not. No.
I tried to tattoo myself with like purple ink. I wanted a very small like ombre heart.
Yeah.
I was like, that hurts.
Too.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's like a needle and like dipped ink and thread, like just dumb things. Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
But that was like like using yourself as a canvas.
Yeah.
And then drawing and stuff, like that was your.
Yeah. 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 I was like 14, like high school. Once I got into high school and like, they're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I really started thinking about it and, pushing into art like through my classes and yeah.
It's very unusual. I mean, to like go into or I think it's unusual. I don't hear very often that people are like, I'm interested in this particular thing and now I'm in it.
Yeah.
And developing it. Like, that's a very smooth transition for you.
I feel like I got really lucky. Back then, the industry wasn't nearly as like saturated as it is now.
Yeah.
But even then, it was really hard to get into it.
Yeah.
To have somebody willing to teach you, to have the space for it.
What did you find the most difficult?
About starting to tattoo?
Yeah. Or what are some challenges that you...
Yeah. I think, like, honestly, like, interacting with people.
Yeah.
It's such a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was not something I was never very good at. I think that, like, I might have, like, some antisocial tendencies.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, like, a skill I've had to really lean into and try and hone over the many years. And, yeah, I think that was the hardest part. I mean, tattooing is very hard in itself, too, but I think that's what I, like, really, like, struggled with and sort of tripped over many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's an art, right? Like, I mean, I think of, you're sitting with and touching another human for potentially hours at a time.
Yeah.
And it feels very like it could get into realms of like a therapeutic conversation while you're, or downloading sort of conversation while you're tattooing. Are there people that like request not to speak, or like do they give sort of like a umbrella of what their needs are?
Yeah. I don't know if I could say that anyone's ever been like so forward about it.
Yeah.
But I've had clients that like bring in, headphones and they're like, I'm just going to listen to music, or I'm just going to read. I'm going to, or like you just kind of like, you catch the vibe, like,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'll ask a few questions. And if it's just kind of like short and sweet, we'll just, hang out and I'll tattoo and they can do whatever they want.
Right. But, so it's really intuitive then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try. I mean,
yeah.
Not a perfect person, but
no one is, right? I mean, this is like how we do it. But I think it's really interesting to talk about those things because, like if you feel like you have like these antisocial tendencies or feel like that was something that you struggled with, there's a lot of people that struggle with that.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's been through time and experience that it is like an art of how to be with another human,
I agree with that. Yeah. 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 It's a lot of multitasking,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it is. Yeah.
It's because you're drawing with I don't even know what the tool is called.
A machine.
Okay. You're drawing with your machine at the same time as like having a conversation or talking.
Yeah.
I would not be able to do that. I can't actually create something physical and have a find my brain doesn't find the space between those things.
Yeah. Do you create, like, I've seen your videos like in your studio. Do you find yourself like creating in solitude most of the time?
Yeah, because painters, unfortunately, you know me a little bit, and like, that I'm like, I love being around people. I love people.
Yeah.
So I used to have friends. I would just say, hey, like body double. Like, could you just come and sit in the studio with me while I paint?
Yeah.
Is really my optimal way of working, probably.
Okay.
But yeah, painters basically paint in solitude.
Yeah.
The other, like, fine art, whatever that is, like sculptors and ceramicists and glass artists, and have like either collaborative tools that they use, like a giant kiln or, glass orb things that they have to, like the glory hole thing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
so they work with other people.
Yeah.
And so it feels more collaborative. I do love the idea of, I mean, that's one thing that I loved about ceramics was that I got to work with other people and talk with them about how they're using their kiln wash or their kiln, their glazes or stains or all of those things. And, you're in a studio now with 5 other tattoo artists.
Yeah, I think there's 6 of us. There's some part-time. Yeah. There's usually like 4 people, like
steady
in the shop.
4.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have guest artists that come in too that work with you. Yep. And I mean, that I just think is walking into your space, I think is really lovely because it just feels very open and communicative and connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't actually have that. But so I try and find it in other places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
But I can't, I used to do this show occasionally. It was a fundraiser. They did one for the Art Institute of Chicago that I used to do, and the one for MyAd in Milwaukee. I think there were a couple others where it was just like, it was like a blank canvas, and they'd bring like 100 to 150 artists in, and you'd paint for all day, and then the public would come in, they'd buy tickets, and they'd put up the stuff on silent auction.
Okay.
So that was really fun because you were around a whole bunch of other artists creating at the same time. Yeah. And I would look forward to that because it's a much different thing than being just in solitude, creating in solitude. And, but I didn't want people talking to me.
Yeah.
So I would put in headphones and just kind of not even make eye contact. So it's it's a skill. So we'll talk more about your skills. Creative skills that we learn along the way.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It's kind of intense. I think maybe I downplayed in that. Well, I don't because I'm trying to be really conscious of it, but tattoos are.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go there. Welcome back to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger. We're here with Kayla Kiefer.
Hi.
So talking about, we're going to kind of lean into the tattoo thing, and we talk a lot on the show with different people about what is art or what is deemed as art, and these, and we're, I think part of what I want to do is try and demystify that art is just for a select few, and that everyone are making these choices in their lives, whether they're big plans that shift or decorations or creations. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's all under that sort of umbrella. Anyway, and I was talking about my paintings, and John, our engineer, brought up a great point of during our break that, I usually paint larger pieces, and I think that people, it takes a little bit of time for people to accept, I'm not sure if that's going to go in my house or not. It's different than a poster or something that, I don't know, you can move it around, but it's still something that's is potentially temporary. Right? It doesn't have to stay with you. It doesn't have to go above the couch for, 40 years. It can be there for a year and, head down to the basement or given to, their niece and, whatever. Yeah. But tattoos are these indelible inks going into your skin that are permanent.
Yeah.
And I think in my head, there was such an enormous weight to that of the permanence of now and forever.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear a lot of folks express that sort of like I don't want to call it a hang up, but yeah, a lot of a lot of people will come up to me, usually like friends that don't have any tattoos.
Right.
And they'll say, I just don't think I could ever do it,
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's like other people, like when there's like, oh, this is a flash day, and I get to come in and get like a tiny tattoo. And it's, I don't know what I'm going to get. And it's like dealer's choice or luck of the draw. And that's sort of the other side of that being this like unknown thing that's also going to be on your body for the rest of your life. And how interesting. I don't think there's anything else in the world that has that sort of like breadth and width of entrance into tattooing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or that is tattooing or tattoos. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think getting your first one definitely like helps take some of like the seriousness off of it,
Yeah.
But there's definitely like a spectrum of people out there, like ones that are like that do get tattooed that are very like it needs to be meaningful, it needs to be this, it needs to be that, which is great. And then there's also like all the in betweens, and then far end like people that are just like I don't care, like I just want to have tattoos and like they're fun. You know? And, yeah, and I don't know. It's great.
It is great. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And in like what do you like actually to create with people? Like what are some of the things that stick out for you that
I like it all within reason. I do really enjoy being given the opportunity to create something like very custom and very meaningful. Like kind of like the challenge of taking all the different ideas and putting them into one cohesive sort of tattoo package, some sort of like fluent tattoo design.
Do you work with your client then? Like these are like, I like blackberries and birds and then you create the image for them?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That's like mostly what, at least our shop is putting out is like custom designs like that. There's a big need for it in the tattoo client, community. Custom tattoos are kind of where it's at.
Yeah.
Whereas, maybe like 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't as prominent. It was more like pick stuff off the wall, pick stuff out of the book.
Right.
What you see is what you can get sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're really partnering with your clients to co-create these images.
Yep. It's a collaborative effort for sure. Yeah.
That are imbued with symbolism, like because of objects or animals or whatever that have meaning that you sculpt together then.
Yep. And sometimes words, which is like always a little extra challenge, like figuring out how to piece like words into imagery.
Sure.
Like, yeah. Yeah.
And do you have a particular style that you draw in?
Yeah. I guess like it would be considered like traditional, like a traditional tattoo style.
Okay.
It's like informed by like traditional tattoo foundations of like solid lines, like some black shading. These are all things to kind of help preserve the tattoo over time.
Yeah.
But yeah, traditional tattoo is kind of, it's a blanket term.
Yeah.
For multiple subgenres. I work in more of like a sort of fine line style. That's what I've been leaning into the past like 5 years.
Cool.
So not big chunky lines, more delicate.
Yeah.
Sort of, but yeah.
And the flowers that you do, is that a specialty? floral?
I
Or
used to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
Especially when I opened up the studio inside of Paradigm when Chicory Root first opened. I was really leaning into like a lot of illustrative florals.
Okay.
Kind of like varying line weights and things like that.
Yeah.
And I still enjoy them. I don't do them as much, not for any reason besides it's just not what's on my books. But
Right. Yeah. Because you evolve. You're an artist. You're like creating, and as you go, you're like, oh yeah, that was that stage, and this is a different stage, and this is where I'm at, and this is what's flowing for me now, and with my clients. Like, what's the again, that fluidity and flexibility of working with someone that's that art. And if you're doing, I mean, those are commissions that you're doing then. In my head, that's what I call them, right? So it's like those co-creating things are commissions. Yeah. Which is really hard. I find commissions really hard. Yeah. I mean, because it's really hard to please the client. But if they pick something from the wall, there's a different, it's like, oh, you know what you're going to get. We don't have to have a conversation about, well, could you make, or whatever. That's a challenge to, how is that for you? It's
good. It's what I'm used to. Like that's what most of my career has been, because custom tattoos have been very prevalent for the entirety of my tattoo career.
Gotcha.
I would like to do more of my original tattoo art. The sort of pick it out of a book sort of thing. I've got lots of stuff like that. Just because I know that it's not like when I create a custom tattoo for somebody, there are things that sort of like influence me in the direction that I take it. And sometimes I find that I have to like lean into styles that are like slightly outside of like what I feel is authentic to my art.
Sure.
Which is fine.
Yeah. Because you can do it well.
Yeah. But yeah, I would like to make more things that feel like more authentic to what I'm leaning into right now.
Sure.
I guess. Yeah. But
so interesting.
Yeah.
So great. Would you just touched on it a tiny bit, but would you talk about the evolution of, or the how you came from going to, being a, what's that called? When you're just learning?
An apprentice.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Dysnomia. No idea. From being an apprentice to how you thought about getting your own shop and like doing all that. Would you talk a tiny bit about that?
Sure.
Because I think that it's inspiring for people and for everyone, to hear what led up to it in your head to fulfill yourself.
Yeah. So I started tattooing at a shop in town, and I was there for a long time, like 7 years. Like went through my apprenticeship and just worked there, and I was pretty well committed to just like being there the rest of my life. Like I was like, this is the coolest place in the world. Yeah. This is all I ever want to do. Like whatever.
That's so great.
It was great until like I realized that I didn't feel right about the space that I was in. Like I feel like because I got into it so young, I was easily influenced by my environment.
Sure.
And it wasn't a healthy environment. Yeah. And I had gotten to a point in my career where my clientele was changing and my community was changing, and it was becoming apparent that the space that I was in was not catered for those people. Yeah. And yeah, I had to get out. Yeah. So I quit. without really having a plan.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I had this like kind of like fear from coming from that space. Like I wasn't interested in going to work at another shop because I didn't want it to be another one of those situations where like it was uncomfortable that weird things were being said or
yeah,
whatever. So, Kate, who owns Paradigm, has been a friend of mine for a long time.
Yeah.
And she had always kind of joked about like, oh, you should just come and tattoo, somewhere inside the coffee shop, whatever. And so after I had quit, I approached her and I was like, can we do this? Because I don't know what else to do,
Yeah.
So yeah, like we figured it out. We figured out a way to do it like legit, like per code, and so then that was Chicory Root. It took like 9 months to put it together. It was a really like horrible long 9 months. I called the studio my baby because I just kind of incubated it over that time.
Oh my gosh, totally. 9 months, of course it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I was up there for like 2.5 years.
That's such a big deal.
Yeah.
To have birthed that space.
Yeah.
And to, have the support and care of a friend and other person in the community to help with that, And I think so much of the time, people were like told that we have to do it on our own. Even if you're striking out on your own, right? It's not just by yourself, right? We have these hands around us, and to ask for help is so important. And was it hard for you to ask, or did it feel okay?
I don't remember it feeling hard to ask.
Yeah.
I think it was probably just like a very, I don't remember the conversation now, but it was probably like a very like casual, like,
right.
Whatever.
Yeah. But that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great. And I'm just I'm stressing it because I think it's so important for us to realize that we're of a larger group, we're of a larger community, and to be generous.
Yeah.
And because small things make such a difference sometimes.
Absolutely.
Not that this was a small thing by any means, but that you to know that you have hands out there, that you have hearts and hands out there to help. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was incredible. Like it wasn't, I mean, like Kate played a huge part in it, but there were also like tons of other members of the community that were like gunning for me, writing letters of recommendations.
Yeah.
Chris Roosh built out the space. I still owe him a sleeve of tattoos for that.
Cool.
He hasn't cashed in on, I mean, it really like, it was incredible. Like I have so much gratitude like for this community in Sheboygan.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. And they're obviously grateful for you though too, Oh. Sorry, I mean I got to do that, right? Yeah. That's so great. Okay, so then you were there for 2.5 years. Thanks for stopping in there. I want to like
it needed to be mentioned.
Yeah.
The community. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so hard. So it's just so hard sometimes. Life is just really hard sometimes.
Yeah.
So, in those wiggly places, like I think to talk about them is important. Because sometimes it feels like it doesn't feel so alone in the ocean.
Yeah.
When you're in it, then.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So I was there for a couple of years. Then Joey, who works with me now, ended up holing up in the little studio with me for like a couple months after he moved back.
Oh, cool.
And then the space next door came up for lease, and Kate was like, I want that building back. And I was like, let's split it, because she was like, I can't right now. So they have a beautiful kitchen in the back of the shop.
And, that's right. Yeah.
And then we have the space up front,
which is such a gorgeous space.
I love it
so pretty. If you haven't gone by, it's I don't know where it's actually, like close to the corner of St. Clair and 8th Street.
Yep.
Large windows, huge cathedral ceilings entering in, and Yeah.
Yeah. And your beautiful of the seas is.
Oh, yeah. Our seas. Yeah.
Our seas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just filling up that wall perfectly.
Oh, man. It makes me so happy that it's in there because when I painted it, I wanted people to use it to space out on, to either find hope or find darkness, to sit with either one.
Yeah.
The breadth of that for people, and particularly in transitions.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that people get to see it while they're there, and kind of can go into it.
I can affirm that people do that. Like as they're sitting and getting tattooed, they just stare.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's really great. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That's so great. And so then, hearkening back to the how you started and where you started, and then to the studio now, that you're co-creating this culture together then with your other artists that are there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just, I just think it's really beautiful to shift in your environment, culture, to create it together.
Yeah.
And to have a space where it appears from the outside that there's like respect and care and a genuine fun quality to it and everything. So
yeah, I'd say that's like what we're aiming for.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's frantic.
That's a really interesting way to describe a lava lamp.
Yeah. And then those are the ones that like bubble up, and you can get mesmerized with them, which is my preferred state, I think.
Yeah. I think I prefer it too.
Welcome back to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger. We're here with Kayla Kiefer.
Hello.
And we were just talking about lava lamps and having them around because we have some in the studio, and there's a few different kinds of lava lamps. When they got like popularized, I think in the 70s, they were all, was it 70s or 60s, I guess? They all had like that molten thing that had to warm up and bubble up slowly, and had this sort of kaleidoscopic, I don't know, feel undulation, to it. And then they started making lava lamps that were just like, turn it on and there's a fan and it goes weird, and it doesn't have the same quality of, I mean, I could talk about anything in water for a long time, but the fact that it moves really fast doesn't do it for the psyche.
No.
Like, you want to have these sort of gelled, ooey, experiences, right? Because I think that it helps you, what did I say earlier? Not meditate, but like definitely gets you in a more like slowed down experience. In anticipation of something moving. Yeah. There's an observational quality to them that I think helps to center or relax people too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if there's other things like that that we are motivated to find to help feel that way.
Yeah.
Do you have spaces that you go to or things that you do that help you feel more centered, or
I don't know. I mean, being outside is just always that for me, like in any capacity, I guess. Like, like the beach or woods. Or just my yard. You know, I think watching like nature is something that helps slow me down.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
The getting John sometimes talks about getting small because he's a beachgoer every day, and he like takes photos of like small things, but with the waves, you know, too.
Yeah.
And I personally, if I need to feel relaxed or if I'm too heightened, I tend towards the water as well. Like I'll go to the jetties and walk out on the jetties and have the rhythm of the lake move through. But I think there's such, when you said observing nature, I don't know. I'm also, I know the style of tattoos that you do too. And I'm like, oh, I can see the bees. And there's such a correlation, I feel like, between your observing of nature and something of the essence gets translated, I feel like, into your images.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
In a really beautiful way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's nothing I really like find more interesting or care more about than like every form of living thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe beside, I mean, I love human beings and I love the relations that I have.
Sure.
You know? But like,
I know you're not
like
discounting
I have to go out
that.
And find somebody, you know, like I'd rather just go out and like find some bird I've never seen before, or like stare at like a beetle really close, you know? Like,
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And I love that, that you can do that in your backyard. You know, you can lay down with your dog in the grass or, you know, and watch ants work together into their, you know, little sand pile hill.
Yeah.
Or, the beetle or the bumblebee that passes across the path of. And
just yesterday I was laying out with Honey, my dog, in the backyard. It was like sunny and she had just had a shower because she got into some gross water, so she was drying out. And we were just like taking a moment, and like, you know, my yard is like just growing, right? I'm not mowing. Like there's violets, there's dandelions everywhere, and like sitting out in the middle of like all these flowers, like, and like I'm just laying there and I'm watching like all of the bees, like the honeybees and the bumblebees. They're just like, it's just like this like vibration happening as they're just like bobbing up and down from the ground, and it was just like really
cool.
I don't know, that was centering. Like that felt really like good just to be like amongst all of it, like you know.
And I it's hard to slow down to get to that place, to be able to accept that nature, that nature happening, you know, and be with it, be a part of it. Yeah. When you were bobbing your hands just slightly, it felt very wave-like, you know, and I was transported. It was nice. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I wish I could have been there with
you. That would have been nice. So nice. Yeah. And it is really like the thing about nature too is that it is there are all these shocking things that happen from moment to moment. Like you're not expecting a woodpecker to start pecking, you know, and hearing that sound, or that bees and bumblebees are like hanging out together, or the color of the violets that are popping up in your yard, like just gorgeous. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that you're so tuned into that and find the beauty and centeringness with that. It's really nice.
Thanks. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Do you do any traveling to go to see different places? Like nature places? Nature places. Whatever.
I haven't done a lot of traveling lately. I used to.
Yeah.
Like in my earlier 20s.
Yeah.
I went to a few places, a few spots. Like Ireland. It's very, very beautiful and naturey.
Right.
Especially in like West Corks. I mean, I don't know what the other parts of Ireland are like. I didn't go there, but
Yeah.
it was, just very natural. Yeah. And other places. I've been to states, I've been places. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't get out very much anymore. I think I struggle like with it. I'm a different person now.
Yeah.
I used to, depend on like alcohol to get me through like anxieties.
Yeah.
And I don't drink it anymore. And then COVID, kind of added like a whole nother layer of it too.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't travel as much as I'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
do you find that you have developed other ways to like subdue your anxiety? Because thank you for opening up about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal to not drink anymore, especially in a highly drinking town and state. Wisconsin is pretty alcohol driven.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you find other ways that help you, or things that help you?
Yeah. Oh, well, my dog is like a great help to it. She keeps me distracted, which is like
Right.
vital for me.
Okay.
Keeps me focused. Otherwise, I just kind of,
Yeah.
I don't know. I keep busy. I keep like very busy.
Okay.
Just,
Yeah.
I'm always in a project or something. So
Right.
yeah, that's my coping. Yeah.
Yeah. Nature,
And
dog, keep busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my life advice.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much to learn from being with nature and trying to be with yourself, and to eliminate those things. That's just it's so hard, I think, or can be so hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for that. And I'm not sure that it'll be interesting to see like what traveling does feel like okay again, and where and what you'd want to go to.
Yeah.
And it's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a drive to go to a particular spaces. Like I love Maine. Mm-hmm. I'd like to go back there. I have other ideals like in my head of places that I'd like to go to.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling and I think you mentioned COVID as well. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if that reset some things for a lot of us or shifted how we are, but I don't really want to be away from my cat necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And, there's how it's shifted relationships and how we address the world. And I worry sometimes that there's an insularness of that I feel a little bit more insular, and then and don't want to go out and do a bunch of things, but that's also okay.
Yes.
But I also want to go and visit places, and like, how do you find enough space in your life and, emotionally, psychologically, to manage both, right? Or either. Yeah. I don't know. Being a person is really hard.
It's really complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's just too much. There's too many things to do. There's too many like really fun, great things to do that it's really hard to prioritize. Like,
yeah,
at least a little bit of everything.
Right. I know. I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's always like being in when I come to the library, I'm always like, there's so many books I want to read too.
Yeah. Yeah. So much to learn.
I know. Yeah. And I was just, I was thinking about Honey today, your dog. I love her so much. She's so great.
She loves you.
I like visiting her at the shop. Both of you. Yeah. But I was I'm reading a book by a guy named Dave Eggers. And I listen to audiobooks because it's easier for me to work and listen, but it's based off of, I think it's The Seer or something like that. And it's about a dog. It's from the dog's point of view, who's like living in a park and connecting to all these like different people and trying to understand things. And he's like, and I ran faster than the speed of light. And, it has like these very sweet, like childlike experience, measurements and stuff and experiences. And I guess in my head, I was relating some of it to Honey because she's the dog that I'm closest to, I think.
Yeah.
And what her experience is of going to work with you and walking down the street, seeing different people, having these friendships. Like she's a friend, but she's a dog, right?
Yeah. Honestly, she has so many friends.
Yeah.
There are like so many people she absolutely adores. And like, I think they adore her back. And I mean, it makes me so happy to see like that she gets to have these like fulfilling relationships.
Totally. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are pro like adopt, don't shop for pets as well. Like she was from the Humane Society or?
I got her from a foster rescue, JR's Pups and Stuff.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. I don't know why I ended up going through them. I don't remember now. But yeah. Yeah, she was like 1.5 years when I got her. I don't know her story.
Yeah.
But she's just like an angel. She's just
totally
such a treasure.
She is, yeah. I didn't know if she was going to join us for the interview or not. But so cute. Yeah. So, and I know we're kind of getting towards the end of our conversation a little bit. Are there any things that you found inspirational or that you'd like to share in the last bits of our talk? I don't know. That's a big swath of...
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, I immediately thought about like the intensity of a lava lamp. Like I've learned to look at lava lamps a little more deeply now.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely taking that away.
Nice.
But probably some other things too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, and being there's something when I'm in presence with you, just as a reflection, I feel much more calm and centered. And I think that there have been times where I felt like I overshared with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've gotten that a lot. Yeah.
And it's really weird. You have gotten it a lot.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just because I spend most of my time like being an active listener. I think that there's probably like a body language thing happening.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love it. I mean,
that's so great. You do.
Like, there's nothing better than like a genuine human interaction in my mind. You know?
Yeah.
So if you feel like more calm and that you're sharing more than you would otherwise, I mean, that makes me really happy that I get to feel closer to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet. Because it happens very rarely. Well, I wouldn't say that. I take that all back. But I mean, I think there have been like 2 specific instances where I've seen you and I've been like, and I'm like, I am so sorry that I just took your space away from you and your time. And because I didn't even ask how you were or what was going on. And it was like this really comfortable, like easy something that happened that was almost felt like a phenomenon. Like it was so slick.
Yeah.
That's just really fascinating. Yeah. So I do think that you've really, I do believe you. You know, I love the fact that you have honed the skill of being with people and connecting and being an active listener. That's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And for it not to feel overwhelming, but that it's part of this like process.
Yeah.
Do you think that sometimes those things like go into the work that you do too?
Like physically?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe. I think it probably informs like what I put into like a custom design more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't, I don't know.
I can't help it. Like we started off with like the chickpea thing, but like cooking with love. Yeah. Like you can tell if it's not cooked with love, you know?
Absolutely.
Like that's kind of how I feel. Like that's how you tattoo.
I'll put that on a billboard.
Right? Tattooing with love.
Yeah.
Yeah, cook with love. Yeah. Well, so great. And if people wanted to find you, where could they find you or how could they connect with you?
Yeah. Email is great.
What's your email?
My email is tattoosbykayla@gmail.com. But if that doesn't work, because I just lose things all the time and like it's impossible to keep up, just come find me at the shop when we're open. And if I'm tattooing somebody, just like talk to me over the bar and be like, hey, I have a question.
Nice.
I'll answer.
At Chicory Root Tattoo.
Yeah, at Chicory Root Tattoo.
And
it's on 8th Street.
On 8th. Yay. Thank you so much for being here, Kayla.
Thank you so much. It's been fun.
Yay. Huge thanks to Mead Public Library, the fantastic Melissa Prentice, Josh Littner, Annalisa Finca, the radio committee, our amazing engineer John Tully, and for the title, Photo and Fabulous, theme music composed and performed by Cooper Deers.
In the Act is produced in the studios at Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. More information on the web at meadpl.org.